Planet Zoo is officially turning 6 years old today, which means it's 12 years away from being able to vote. Yeah, I decided I wanted to take some time, have a low-stakes video, kind of just talk with you guys about my experience with the game, and really reflect on the past 6+ years of Planet Zoo history, which is super crazy to think about, so let's jump into it. Alright, building subject of today, I'm gonna be recreating like one of my original, like the original zoo I planned for Planet Zoo, which is it was a Greek themed zoo, and I made this originally on like the beta, which is kind of crazy to think about. I think if we come over here, if we look up like Minoan, here's like my first blueprint I ever made. I can do a lot better now, but yeah. And I also had this little Greek temple design. Obviously, I really wasn't paying too much attention because it's not really the best. But I made these Greek columns, so we'll use those. Yeah, Planet Zoo, it's been out for about 6 years. But not only that, but we've also had the beta too, which was also really fun. I remember back then we really only had kind of like the mandrill, and there were like some other weird hoof stock that we also had. Maybe it was kind of like the, shoot, I forget what it was. It the pronghorn? I genuinely don't remember. But I remember even before the beta, the first day that this got announced, yeah, I remember just sitting like in my basement and I was just watching E3 because that's what I did all the time. No rumors, no leaks or anything about a new kind of zoo simulation game out there, but the second that I saw that, like, young me was jumping for joy and quite literally pooping his pants. I'm so used to Jurassic World Evolution controls, guys. I'm sorry I switched sides. I didn't actually switch sides, it's just a fun game. But yeah, that initial trailer where it's like, oh man, there's the hippos, the lions, everything, and it's like, there's so much new building tools that we never had before. At that point, I had already been like outside of the Zoo Tycoon and kind of like overall zoo community. I was in college at the time. I was kind of on like a culture kick, so I was doing a lot of traveling. I was doing a lot of traveling all throughout Europe and like North Africa too. So I really like wasn't into going to zoos. I mean, the only zoo I really went to at that time was Maine Wildlife Park, and that was a super fun thing, but I didn't really appreciate it as much as I do nowadays because, I don't know, I just have a much bigger appreciation that this game gave me. I remember back, like, when I was studying in college too, like, I really wasn't into zoos, animals, like, anything nature, really. And I kind of didn't go on a kind of, like, paid-for trip to the Rabat Zoo in Morocco, and I'm kicking myself in the ass because my now wife went and she got to see African forest elephant and I didn't. Like, come on. See, I've always had just a little bit of jealousy on her over that, but like, I don't know, this hobby, it's brought me to so many places. I mean, I think about just recently, I was able to go to Portugal and I was able to visit the aquarium there once again. Man, that place is just so good. If you ever get the chance to visit Portugal, really recommend going to the aquarium. It is just so beautiful. But not only that, but I've been to so many other awesome zoos and had so many kind of like behind the scenes tours or like really cool experiences, meeting with keepers, talking with them. But I feel like that wouldn't be possible if not for me stepping up and stepping out of my shell and doing YouTube. Like, obviously this is going to be a little bit more of a vulnerable kind of video where I kind of talk about my history with this, but like, I never really saw myself as a creator before. I never really stepped out of my shell too much. Like, I've done theater and stuff, I've done all that whole rigmarole, but at the end of the day, I would much rather kind of like lock myself in a room and not really do anything. But I don't know, I'm thinking back to like when I had friends online and there was this one friend I would play Portal with, and I wouldn't even go on a voice call or like call him to figure out some of those stupid frickin' puzzle levels. Oh my god. But here I am nowadays and I'm meeting some awesome creators like all over the world, and it's just really interesting like that, you know? So yeah, I guess I should probably talk about my start with content creation because I know people ask about it a lot. But yeah, I originally started off wanting to be a Sims YouTuber. Those videos are still up, but did I have like actual audio for those? I don't know. I am too scared to actually look back at that stuff. I am not going to lie. But I don't know. It was just, I wanted to do that originally because some of my favorite creators that I used to watch, like the Sim Supply, Sim Supply, Deligracy, James Turner, obviously, Sim Supply, Plumbella, all those creators who've like inspired me over the years. I really got most of my inspiration from Sims YouTubers, not really Planet Zoo, but I started watching Planet Zoo content. I remember I was big on the Koali crew. The lady designer, I like could not imagine talking with her before, but now I talk to her on the reg. It's pretty crazy. Same goes for Rudy, same goes for Eben. Like, these are all creators I've looked up to for the longest time. Even Silverette, like, I still poop my pants whenever he messages me. It's not often, but hey, I still poop my pants. But yeah, I was looking up to some of these creators, even Geekism. Oh my god, how could I forget? But I was looking up to these guys for the longest time, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to try this. I was super inspired by Poison Blade. Huge inspiration when it came to like my first videos. I really wanted to do something like he did for Cayenne Al-Bashar. That was his, like, that's still my favorite series of his because it's like all these flying, kind of like, I don't know how you would describe it, floating island zoo, but it's not really a zoo. It's just this beautiful city. And it was all that stuff. Even like I Am the Lion Rider, such a huge inspiration to me, especially because we're kind of like from the same area too, which is kind of fun. But he was a huge inspiration to me as well for the Roger Williams series, and even beyond. Like, I got a lot of my inspiration from him back in the day, and still do. Like, he's still kind of my muse whenever it comes to figuring out what to do, how to push my content a little bit further, and I'm always so thankful for that. But yeah, I started off kind of like trying to find my own niche, and I think that really helped out so much. I don't like this color. So eventually over time, I started to make content and started to find my kind of section. A lot of the times when it does come to making content, you start to see some people fill out their own niches, some people have their own niche, etc., etc. Like, I look at some of my favorite kind of like creators in the community at this point. I'm looking at people like, hold on, I have a technique to do this just a little bit better. I'm looking at people like Caesar, who has these incredibly beautiful and realistic builds. Like, he is the realism king. And I think having someone like recognize what they bring to the community and excel on that, not just excel, but expand and constantly push the boundaries of that, is always so cool to see. I mean, just the fact that another one of my favorite creators, again, I never know how to say his name, ZSH Plays. I get dyslexia just for his name. I don't know, it's kind of crazy. But I always look to him, where it's like, this creator has made Planet Zoo so accessible to so many people, and it's not scary. Like, I tend to think that Caesar's builds are very scary because there's such a high threshold. And of course, you can watch those videos, dissect them all you want, but at the end of the day, Caesar is just like on a different skill set, you know? But I don't know, people like ZSH Plays, they make it so accessible to the overall community, and that's what I love to see. So when I was originally starting out, I was like, how can I be different from everyone else? Not really be different, but how can I make my brand really mine? Like, how can I make this my own? And I started to experiment with modding a little bit. I always thought modding games was super cool. Again, I'm huge on the the Zoo Tycoon kind of history. I've had a long history with Zoo Tycoon, a history I'm not necessarily proud of, but still, it's like history that I've had that's kind of formulated my original interest for these games. And because of that, I've already like kind of known how mods work. I've made a few mods for Zoo Tycoon, but at the end of the day, Planet Zoo is just this different beast. But still, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to try this out. So I started making mods, and again, back in the day, it was just replacement mods, guys. It was rough. But I started to kind of expand my tool set, and while I don't really make mods anymore, I can still look back and see how much value that had to me not just as a creator, but just as a person, where I started to understand my own limits and I started to understand kind of like worth in a way. I know I'm getting very philosophical in this kind of little journey over here, but I don't know. It was the early days of modding Planet Zoo, where it was just everyone kind of out for themselves, everyone learning new things. And I think back in the day where we didn't have access to editing animations, we didn't have access to even making new species at the time. That was very early on in my career. I say career. I think it's more of a hobby, but I still recognize that, hey, this is something I can make money off of, which was another huge kind of like formulation point, but I'll talk on that in a bit. But modding was just like this really awesome creative outlet, and myself and Lion Rider were the only ones really covering it. And to me, that was always just so cool that we had our own little section on YouTube where we could kind of talk about what no one else was really going to cover. And what I mean by that, there was this huge stigma about mods back in the day, and there still kind of is, but like no one else was covering it. So we kind of saw that and we were like, this is kind of ours. Like, we were kind of forefront leaders for tutorials, for kind of just community in that regard. And it still is kind of like that. Even though I don't really mod much anymore, I still see that as like my home. The Cobra server, the Open Naja modding server is like where I always go to just to kind of like shoot the shit, you know? And it's always just been like that for me, where it's always such a fun community in that regards, where it's like everyone cares about the game at the end of the day. Everyone can say what they want. Everyone can kind of go, yeah, but Planet Zoo isn't really complete without X, Y, and Z. But it's still just a great community, so I have to give them like a huge shout out. But those early days of kind of not just content creation, but just general Planet Zoo goodness, like those were always some of the best. I was working from home at the time, and after my shifts, I would be like, well, kind of like, now what, you know? So I started taking up content creation as a way to kind of fill out the time. Again, this was kind of post-COVID. I didn't really have much on my plate. I have way too much on my plate right now, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I was looking for another creative outlet. And again, I've mentioned before, I do theater. That really wasn't something I was doing at the time, but eventually it just started to become content. And I just started to experiment with it just for a little bit. And eventually I was like, damn, I'm kind of good at this. And again, I think it takes a special breed of, hold on, I need tile pieces. Sorry. I think it takes a special breed of person to be able to make content. I do think anyone, and again, I hate the term content. It's just so, bleh. Like, it's not the sexiest term in my opinion. But I think it does take a special person to be able to recognize, am I able to do this? Because it does take a lot of work. And if this is something that you're interested in, Jurassic World Evolution 3 right now, there is so much potential with that game. There is so many potential ideas for storytelling, for everything when it comes to that. And it's just ripe for the picking right now. It is so good. So if you do want to get started with that, feel free to just take it up and like see if it's something that you like. If it's not something that you like, don't do it. Like, that's my biggest recommendation. If you find that you're struggling with it, just don't worry about it. You don't need it in your life. There's other ways to feel kind of validated and kind of really appreciate how it all goes. I don't know. Yes, I am using free build to tilt these. I'm sorry. Oh, this is looking good. I can't imagine doing this back in the day without all these pieces. I'm actually still only using base game pieces, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I've had some really great kind of formulative moments with this game, and I'm just so thankful for it too. I mean, when I first started passing those first milestones, like the first 1,000 subs, the first 5,000, that was so crazy to me, where it was just, I'm doing this and people are enjoying it, and people still enjoy it, which I'm so thankful to you all about, because the fact that I can hop on here and yap about this silly little zoo game makes me so freaking happy. You guys have no idea. So yeah, those formula moments were always so good. to me. I don't know. It's just always such a great memory. But not only that, but like the first time I got early access, that was like the kicker for me, where it was like, I never thought I would. I never thought I would because I covered mods. Again, they were very it was just very not discriminated towards at the time, because that's such a weird way of putting it, but they were just very unappreciated at the time. And eventually they were like, hey, you want to work on the early access? Not work on it, but you know what I mean. You want to have early access to the, what was it? That was the North America pack. Yeah. I remember I built for those prairie dogs as soon as I could. That was such a fun rollout. It was just so cool. But eventually, one thing led to another, and, you know, I started getting the care packages from them. Rest in peace. Those were always so fun to get. And it was just such a fun moment. But let's talk about Planet Zoo itself. I feel like I've been yapping about myself too much. I do want to talk about the actual game of Planet Zoo, because this game, like so many of you guys, I'm sure, it means so much to you all. So let's talk about it. Yeah, the original kind of rollout for Planet Zoo, I was always happy with it. I always thought the game was great. I was so happy with like all the new building tools. I thought it was super fun that, you know, we have access to all these really robust themes, like the East Asia theme, the classic theme, all of that stuff. But eventually, as time went on, people started wanting more. People started wanting more tools to play with, more pieces, and we eventually got a lot of awesome pieces. I mean, I'm thinking about some of my favorite sets over time, which were kind of like the Indonesia set. That was a more recent addition, but it's still one of my favorites, where it's just this beautiful, beautiful set that has this really nice looking brick on it. Let me turn off climbing. Yeah, like those were always some of my favorites right over there. In fact, we're actually gonna use some right now because I kind of want some in here. I want that nice brick look. Oh my god, I hate how I just learned all of the Jurassic World Evolution hotkeys and now I gotta unlearn them. It's terrible. But yeah, there were so many awesome I'm thinking about the Europe set. The Europe set I see as like the huge turning point for Planet Zoo, where people got those decals and the realism just like stepped it up an entire notch. I'm not really the biggest user of the decals. I'm not really too gung-ho on them. I think they're so helpful for zoos. I think they're so helpful for parks. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one who uses it. It's Caesar. It really is. He just makes these incredible habitats with these, not just habitats, but these really beautiful areas for guests, for keepers. And that was just always so cool to see. So I see that as a huge kind of like formulative moment in the Planet Zoo history, where it's like, this is more than just a game. It's a model train set. It's a model train set. I saw someone say that a while ago, but it just reigns so true, where you come in here and you start building and you have your own little creative worlds. And it's just one of my favorite little aspects of this game too, where it's like, you can make anything in here. You really can. And to me, that's always been one of the coolest things about Planet Zoo. We have so many awesome creators over the years who have done some great builds, not just zoos, but some incredible projects. I'm thinking Arcadia by Zekin, which is an entire floating island. He worked on that with my friend Stoppable San, and like, that's another thing too. This game has brought me so close to so many awesome creators and so many awesome people that are now my friends, and it's just so crazy to think about. I know not everyone has that experience with Planet Zoo, at least. Not everyone is able to use this game as a way to like bond with people or kind of get closer to people, but I'm lucky to say that I have, and it's just something I can never give up for the world. Like, that is just so good to me. I'm going back to some old school planting over here, don't mind me. Yeah, I want this build to feel kind of nostalgic in a way. Nostalgic with like a bunch of the new pieces too, but still nostalgic overall, so it's like my old building style, or kind of like the basic Planet Zoo style. That's kind of how I see it. But this game started off on a rough note, but apparently to the rest of the community. Again, I always liked it. I always thought this game worked super well. But overall, we got some really impressive updates. I mean, the animal morphs is like something you don't think about nowadays. Now it's like, oh, what animals have what morphs? But the fact that that was an update was so crazy, where it's like animals can have like more than one morph, where it's like they don't just need to be albino, they can have melanistic, xanthic, all that crazy stuff. I'm using the 24 natural rock barriers and fences. You can get this on the workshop, but I'm thinking about how a lot of these pieces, a lot of these kinds of things that we don't really think about anymore, things that we take for granted, came to us from free updates. And that's a huge shout out to the Frontier development team for having that nurture strategy when it comes to their games, where this is something that has been very present in a lot of game communities, but I think Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, and everything else, Jurassic World Evolution, have really taken it up a notch and really demonstrated just how much a development team can really care about a game like this. Again, going very basic with this habitat. I'm not going for any awards, you know? Swoop, goodbye. But yeah, I'm thinking back to like the deep diving update where tigers, not just tigers, but so many other animals like the grizzly bear got updates where they could deep swim, which was so crazy to think about. I'm thinking about how I made habitat specifically so the grizzly bear could swim, and the polar bear didn't even swim to begin with. And I guess on that note, we could talk about DLCs. Yeah, I know not a lot of people were happy that the DLCs kind of kept animals away from people. Specifically, I'm thinking to the polar bear, where that was like, oh, get the Arctic pack for the polar bear. And it's like, I feel like you would want to have a game that has the most amount of content possible for a base game experience. Now, again, I understand that Frontier needs to make money. I understand that that is a thing. But yeah, I'm just thinking about how it was like we didn't have kangaroos to start with. We didn't have really a lot of birds to start with. Here's a little trick for all those people at home. Flip these upside down and you can get some really awesome kind of droopy foliage in here. So good to use. So good. I basically like to group these together so I don't need to do that every so often, and I just use it kind of like that. It's so good. But yeah, the DLCs over the years, I think the best ones, I'm not sure. Again, I think the DLC, like the argument of what's the best DLC for Planet Zoo, I think you can't have that argument because everyone has their own tastes. You have people from New Zealand who would prefer to have more oceanic animals in their parks, or at least that's the general consensus I've seen, where you would want animals that represent your own region or whatever zoos or regions that you really like yourself. For me personally, I like the North America pack the most. I think that pack has the most amount of animals that I like to build for the most, and it has the most diverse animals that you would like to build for, because you have semi-aquatics, you have your big cat with the cougar, you have moose, which is a really awesome hoofstock animal to use, and there's just so many awesome like little things to build for in that. That's just so cool. But I've seen people say that aquatic is one of their favorites. Now, I understand why aquatic would be someone's favorite. Has a lot of great pieces. The faux rocks, oh my word, everyone was obsessed with those back in the day and still are. Rightfully so. They're great pieces. But yeah, I think aquatic has honestly showed its age. I think wetlands is kind of like a better stand-in for aquatic. But again, it's all up to personal opinion. It's not like any DLC adds in any gameplay except for, I guess, you know, the Arctic DLC, where it does add in new scenarios. I guess they all add in the time scenarios, but I don't really count those. I like the actual story elements of the scenarios. You don't really get those with some of the DLC, so it's kind of disappointing. Probably get our mandrills in here, and yeah, we're going with the mandrills. I really want to have this be my beta habitat. Oh yeah, beta too. That was all franchise, wasn't it? Oh my word, that's terrible. No, I enjoyed franchise for the time that I played it. It's like I discovered over the years that it's just not my play style, and it's not really my content style. I like to do a lot more storytelling. I like to do my own storytelling, and I feel like franchise, it kind of just locked me into something that I really wasn't happy doing. But again, ZSH Plays has incredible series on that. I know Delady has one too, and it's like so cool to see people actually take that and do their own spins on it and really make it work for them. And again, the content sphere for Planet Zoo, it's always been so good. But yeah, DLC, I feel like it never really changed. For Planet Zoo 2, I would like to see something that goes along the lines lines of like, hey, like here's an actual gameplay element. I'm thinking like maybe one could include like a new type of transport mode where, I don't know, I'm thinking like chairlifts or gondolas or something like that. That would be super good. Forgot I need a keeper. That's great. Yeah, I'm thinking about stuff like that. That would be so good. But in terms of what we actually ended up getting out of Planet Zoo, I'm so happy with. Like, in terms of that, in terms of free updates, I'm thinking about the whole camera control thing that I'm gonna be making the cinematics with later. That, like, listen, talk about content. That is, like, what shot everyone out of their pants. Like, that alone is one of the best updates that we've ever gotten, because think about it, like, without that, we wouldn't have, like, all these incredible creators doing some of the stuff that they are doing nowadays. If I didn't have that, I'd be doing what I typically do in Planet Coaster, which is kind of just still shots with like minor editing and stuff. But that alone was such a good update. I'm thinking about everything else too. Restaurants, gift shops, that was so welcome. Yeah, this game has come a long way. It really has. I still think that there's still stuff lacking, and I don't know. I'm recording this before the anniversary, so I'm not sure if there's gonna be anything worthwhile in terms of content. At least I know something's coming. I'm curious if that's gonna release at this time. Keep your eyes on the Planet socials, I guess. But I'm thinking about like multi-select. Oh my god, that again, this was such a good little update item right there. So good. But I'm thinking about, obviously we didn't get the tree kangaroo. We didn't get some of these items that people have wanted for the longest time. I'm thinking about flying birds. That's its own set of worms. Oh my god. But I look back and I am so happy with the state of the game at this point, because we have some incredible animals that we never really would have gotten elsewhere. Now, I do think the competing marketplace is something that's so important. I think that I look at something like the example of Prehistoric Kingdom and Jurassic World Evolution 3, where both can exist in their own rights. Both set out to do two completely different games. Still, at the end of the day, you're making dinosaur parks. That's kind of like the crux of it all. But again, both have their own audiences, both have their own styles, and I would like to see a new zoo game kind of pop up kind of like that. But I don't think you'll be able to achieve the level, like the notoriety that Zoo Tycoon has really made and Planet Zoo is kind of taken up. Would I like that? Obviously, like the more the merrier. Again, like I always say this whenever it comes to like content and stuff. How does the saying go? A rising tide raises all ships, where the more of a spotlight people have on these kinds of games or on this kind of content, the better it's going to be for everyone. And I would love to see stuff like that, but I don't know. Planet Zoo 2, I would like it. Again, I think a lot of people, understandably so, wouldn't want it so soon, because it feels like we just got done with Planet Zoo 1. And that I completely understand. It's like, you want to save your money, you want to get the most out of something, and for that I completely hear you. I agree. But again, I also look at it from the perspective where this game can only do so much. Like, we can only use these pieces so much. We can only really utilize this building system so much. And I'm looking at Planet Coaster 2 and how many awesome features that they got. And I'm kind of like, well, I wouldn't be upset if we had to kind of give up some stuff for those awesome building tools. Again, Planet Coaster 2, I think that game has come such a long way. I mean, you look at it back in the day, it really wasn't doing too hot, but you look at it now and honestly, the game is shaped up. Yeah, I come from a different perspective where I'm a creator. I'm able to kind of, obviously I received this content for free. I'm able to cover this stuff for free. No, I need Windows. Come on, leave. I'm able to cover this content for free, which is something I'm so incredibly lucky to say. But at the end of the day, I would still pay money for this game. I would still pay money for Jurassic World Evolution 3. I would still pay money for so many of these other games. And again, usually I do the giveaways and stuff, which I know I haven't done in quite a while. And that's just because it's been a little too busy and money's been just a little bit tight. You guys ever pay for a frickin' wedding? It's not cheap. But I don't know. Like, I would still pay full price for Planet Zoo nowadays. I would still pay full price for Jurassic World Evolution nowadays. I think I got more than my money's money's worth out of that game. But obviously some people won't. Some people like to load up this game kind of like how variety streamers do, where it's like they play the game for a bit and that's about it. They got their cheap laughs out of that and then they move on. And personally, I completely understand that mindset where it's like, yeah, that's what I do for a lot of my games. I look back at kind of like, I'm trying to remember. I would say Parkitect would kind of fall in line with that. I would say Parkitect has that kind of effect on me where it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But it's just a example of what people do with these games where it's like, they're not livelihoods, you know? And I think that's something that's kind of important to bring up. Also, I'm getting a little cheeky with this. I want my Greco village, but I want to do it quicker. Tell you what I'll do. I'll start to reformat this blueprint too. So yeah, that's, I don't know. I'm ready for a Planet Zoo 2. There's still so many projects that I still need to finish in Planet Zoo 1. I apologize, first of all. But yeah, there's just so much more that I can do with this game, but there's so much more that I could do with the sequel. And I think that's something that should excite people, you know? But yeah, this game has brought so much more whimsy, so much whimsy. Yeah, I think that's a good way of talking about it. This game has brought so much into my life that I'm so thankful for. I mean, I've been able to go to all these zoos, so many great zoos. Oh my God. San Diego Zoo, that was awesome. I was able to meet up with creators like Remnant, Simply Savannah, and just chill with people, you know? It was a really great way of bringing me closer, not just to the community, but to people as well. So yeah, I've been able to meet up with a lot of people and I'm just so thankful about it. It's like, if I'm going to a place where I know like either a creator or one of my friends lives, I'm like, would you want to go to the zoo? And it's just always like so fun because it's their place. They get to show you around. I've had some creators come visit me, like Annika. Like that was such a fun time when she came to visit. It was so cool just to be able to show her our places. And I don't know, like experiences like that, they just make me so thankful that this game did that, you know? And I don't know, it just gives me a better outlet to kind of talk with my own like friends from real life too, where it's like, they know I'm passionate about this stuff and it's just so heartwarming to know that they care about like how I care about this game too, which is kind of fun. I've even gotten some people to play Planet Zoo, which is just kind of crazy to think about. Like, you really want to play this? That's always like my reaction. But no, people like this game. I like this game. All right, we'll move this just a little bit closer. We're not going to build full custom entrance because I feel like I don't really have too much more to say, but I do want to at least get some guests in here. One of the things I remember using were these beautiful purple trees. Let me actually look up Europe. What can we actually get in here? I think the apple trees might look good. Yeah, I feel like I never use these. Again, another free update item. Those free updates, they were just always so good, guys. I miss it. Do I think we're getting an anniversary animal? I don't think. I think we're past the point of that, where it's like, I feel like they would have paid just a little bit more attention to their socials. If there is, I'll eat my shoe. I'll eat my shoe. Let me connect some of these up. I feel I want to make this a little functional, you know, kind of like old school. Yeah, I guess over the years, I've kind of found my own style of building in this game too, where it's like, I don't really like to build too much functionality. I like to kind of toe the line. But yeah, let's get some of these features in here. I think a restaurant might be able to work. Let's kind of tuck this in here. Now we will need to kind of play with this. So bear with me for a second and just hide it. There we go. Yeah, perfect. Okay, that's fun. That's funny. Also, we can kind of make this just a little bit taller. There we go. Yeah, the restaurant system was always something that was super fun, super cool of them to actually implement. And I'm sure it was kind of double faceted. They were probably making Planet Coaster at the time. So they're probably like, oh, you know, we might as well just start doing some elements that we think will kind of pay off in the long run. Let's link those cables. There we go. Perfect. Now, in terms of Planet Zoo 2, what would I kind of like to see on that? I think I would like to see an expansion of the exhibit system. In fact, we can kind of make one as we talk about that. I think the walkthrough exhibits were such a fun little addition. I think that alone was just so awesome to have. Let's do frogs. I know they weren't in beta, but I don't care. I like the frogs. But yeah, I would like to see more modular exhibits. I'd like to see this system, because I do think this system for like animals that don't really move too much, I think it works fairly well. I wouldn't be upset if, you know, they don't traverse their habitats or whatever, or exhibit boxes rather. But I would kind of like to see something that expands on it and is like, I'm trying to like find the right words, but enough of an upgrade to the point where it's noticeable, but like not too much so that the entire sequel isn't literally just, oh, this is the only thing we fixed, you know? Because I think there's so much more in the game that can be expanded upon. I think kind of like rides, I'm thinking like carousels. Obviously, Planet Coaster is its own thing, but I mean, like, come on, Planet Zoo Team, like, carousels are a thing for zoos too. Like, I don't know, I would like to see something along the lines of that, where it's like ride integration into the game. I would like to see more opportunities for guests to experience a zoo. I'd like to see more of an emphasis on education and kind of like ways that not just Planet Zoo can have you educate your guests, but how Planet Zoo can educate people too. I think that's always super important by including like some more conservation focused animals. I think that always goes such a long way. I know people always kind of talk about the saiga for that, but I'm thinking about other animals, kind of like golden lion tamarins. They are a huge kind of focus of conservation in real life right now, and I would love to see them be included in Planet Zoo too. And I think more updates to kind of climbers and like that climbing AI functionality, I think that would be the perfect way to kind of have an excuse to integrate that, you know? Let's do a nice terracotta roof. Yeah. Have it match the rest of the zoo. It's just so refreshing to also build like this too, where it's like, I don't really need to focus too much. I can just turn my brain off, which is so cool. But I think that would be such a fun little kind of addition to have in the game. I'm thinking about other stuff too. I guess herding mechanics. I mean, Jurassic World Evolution 3 does it so well. Obviously, Jurassic World Evolution 3 is a kind of different engine from Planet Zoo. Again, I think they had to remake the modular system from the ground up specifically for that game because it works so differently. But I would like to see something along the lines of that. Have some of these on each of these corners over here. I think that's going to be good. Maybe kind of this right there. Yeah. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. I guess it'll just kind of look like crap for now. That's okay. Ooh, the Aleppo pine. Yeah, underrated piece right here. I really like the look of this one. It's climbable too, so I think the mandrills will be kind of happy with that. It's also a Mediterranean piece, which kind of fits the vibe I'm going for. Foliage brush, because right now what I'm doing, it could absolutely use a foliage brush, just so I could kind of do grandscaping landscapes right behind here. Obviously can't really do that right now in the game, unless if I do like the big kind of pieces. I was like, where are my guests? They were all kind of stuck over there. Come on, guys. Yeah, I was like, why is my zoo so dead right now? I don't know. But yeah, I would like to see updates for kind of guests. I would like to see a lot of the themes return. I would like just like a basic amount of them. Again, I'm looking at Planet Coaster where it's like they added a bunch of them for free. I think they might have quote unquote learned their lesson. I don't want to say it like that because that makes it sound so derogatory, but also like, come on, we needed at least some basic theme park theme. So I think we'll see the return of like an African theme, Asian theme, maybe North American theme, and maybe a new one too. I would like to see a new North American theme, but also like just a general zoo theme, like something that is so basic, like conservation is so close, but it still does have that kind of like wood tint on it, where it's like, you know, it's very eco-friendly, which is great. Do not get me wrong. I like eco-friendly, but I would just like to see something that's a little bit more, something that you would see in a standard zoo, not really a top of the notch zoo, but something that just goes a little bit more basic. I think that would help out so much. Plants, obviously, I think we would all collectively lose our freaking minds if we do not get our drin grass, buffalo grass. We need olive trees in here. Yes. Our drin grass, buffalo grass. I think there's so many other awesome pieces too that we've gotten over the years. Pieces that I'm not really thinking about right now because they're just second nature at this point, but if something's missing, the devs will know. But yeah, I'm just thinking about stuff like that where it's like, I don't really need too much new content. Give me scaling, give me like maybe a new theme or two, give me a new kind of animal. I'm thinking like, you know, obviously tree kangaroo would be a big ask. But I'm thinking about other stuff where it's like, yeah, maybe fog grass. grass. Sorry, I needed to say it out while I was typing it. But I'm thinking about birds and stuff. I know a lot of people like birds, but honestly, birds, I could take or leave. Personally, I don't really need birds too much. It'd be nice to have them. Full aquatics would be awesome too. Fish, aquariums. I know a lot of people are against the whole orcas and cetaceans thing, but I think Frontier could do it tastefully. They could absolutely do it tastefully. They're gonna get flack either way. I would just say include them, and you guys don't need to use them too, which is another thing. All right, I remember doing trellises in my original park, so I'm gonna try and do something like that. Feel like I've never used this piece either, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I'm thinking about territories. Territories are a huge thing when it comes to Jurassic World Evolution. I would absolutely like to see that be brought to Zoo and kind of expanded upon. I think Jurassic World Evolution does that so well. I'd like to see something kind of like that when it comes to habitat management and creation in Planet Zoo. I think that would be such a welcome addition, especially when it comes to, like, I'm thinking about your big open savannas. Would they kind of do something where it's like they emphasize the nature park people, where it's like, I'm gonna build a big biological reserve in Planet Zoo, and it's like, it doesn't really work like that in Planet Zoo, guys. But I would like to actually see that as a function, kind of. I really wouldn't use it personally. That's not my style. Again, you guys kind of know my style. I've been talking about it for a while at this point, but it would be cool because I know that would give more people room to do different things. Look at this. Came out so good. Just do this here and there. Yeah, I'm thinking about stuff like that. That would be a cool little addition. I'm thinking about drivable cars. I think Gaboy in the modding server said it the other day, where it's like they would rather have drivable cars than birds. And honestly, I completely agree, because that's my favorite part of Jurassic World Evolution. It's my favorite part of old school games back in the day, even Zoo Tycoon 3. Like, that had drivable buggies and stuff to get around your zoo. It was just so good. So good. But yeah, Planet Zoo, 6 years in, it's brought me so many places. It has made so many awesome memories. The guests aren't using the restaurant. That's kind of sad. But yeah, we can kind of end it right here. There's still so much more to say. I could yap for hours on end, but I kind of want to just end it with a little bit of a happy note. Our mandrills, fine, I guess. I'll add enrichment, even though technically they already have enrichment. Let's add some nice little things for them. The keepers can't really access them all too much, but that's okay. Keeping them happy, guys. We're keeping them happy. Again, it's one of those old school habitats. Again, let's actually add some bedding up here too. And yeah, this, fine. I'm always kind of like, oh man, what a great way to end the video. Then I'm like, ah, shoot, I gotta do more. What a shame. Let's kind of have this be a little bit of a forest back here, I suppose. Let's cover that up and place a few more. A little bit of arid plants in here. A little bit of dryer, the dryer briar. Oh, the path tool. I forgot about the path tool in Planet Coaster 2. Yeah, that's another big want. We're obviously gonna get it, but man, yeah, that goes kind of without saying. I would love to have that. Let's do an olive grove back here. I think that'd be super nice. And yeah, just a couple pillars everywhere. Just stupid little decorations. I like this stuff. But yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, I've come pretty far. I mean, I just did this in no time at all, like about an hour of yapping, and I don't know, I love this game so much. So I'm opening it up to you guys. Feel free to use my comments as your personal venting space about Planet Zoo, about pretty much anything when it comes to this game. Obviously, I've had a lot of great memories with it, but I'm curious about you guys too. Did this game have like any big impacts in your life? Your first experiences with it? How late in the game you came to it? Because I know a lot of people picked up on this game after it sort of was out for a bit. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious, but we'll end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this very, very not typical video for my channel anymore. Yeah, just wanted to do something special for Planet Zoo. So have the most wonderful of wonderful days. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Enjoy the anniversary. And yeah, bye-bye now.